Okay. This is a short piece. When she visited the optometrist's office in an effort to buy a new pair of glasses, the optometrist on duty told her she needed an eye exam first, which would cost her much more than simply buying the glasses alone. In fact, the frames that she wanted were somewhat expensive, and if she took an eye exam, she wouldn't be able to afford them. The frames that she wanted were round and horn-rimmed in a literary and conservative style that would have made her look more sophisticated. And while they were the top of the line and proudly featured in the illuminated glass display cases at the cashier's register, locked up to keep them safe, she knew that buying them and also taking the exam would mean that her bills wouldn't get paid that month. She had to compromise, in other words, and select much cheaper frames that hardly compared in beauty to those she desired. Ain't that America, though? She asked herself. And then she remembered the verses of a song. Was it Neil Young? They give you this, but you paid for that. And then Barbara Ehrenreich, Nickel and Dimed, or even Terry McMillan's A Day Late and $1 Short. Remembering these bits of information from the past, and also a bit disgruntled, she willingly submitted to an eye exam, as there was no other alternative. The optometrist performed it quickly and then charged her a heavy sum. After all, these people weren't fools. It was she who was the sucker. And she figured she probably would have needed an exam at another optometrist's office anyway, should she decide to abandon the transaction altogether with this particular optometrist. But she took the exam, and the question now became, what dirt cheap frames could she afford to buy, considering that she still needed to buy groceries as well? The decision-making process aggravated her, as she only had a choice between two very geekish and nerdy frames that were tremendously unfashionable. Naturally, given the tough times in general, she wanted the cheapest she could possibly get. And yes, they looked terrible on her, as though she were a fifth-grade math whiz whom no one wants to take to the school dance, or the type of girl who the whole school loved to bully. She sat in front of a large vanity mirror at the optometrist's desk for a little while, but it's not like it mattered that her new frames were rectangular, plastic, and colored black, something that Jean-Paul Sartre or a young Dalton Trumbo would wear. It made her look like she belonged in the 1950s. It didn't affect her decision, though. She reasoned that these were the amazing choices that we always have when coercion is really the norm. What a scam, what a racket, she thought. She bought the frames that evening and picked them up a few days later. And when she did, something strange started to happen. She walked down the streets of Albany only to find that there were others wearing the same exact glasses. It wasn't just a few people either. There were many along Lark Street who had purchased the same frames. When she went grocery shopping after work, she again noticed these black rectangular glasses hanging low on the noses of those who pushed their shopping carts by her. She even went to her usual coffee shop after bringing the groceries home, and even there she noticed that there were several people wearing the same glasses. And to her genuine amazement and horror, when she turned on the news that night, the anchorman wore the same exact glasses she wore. She reasoned things this way, that yes, these glasses were certainly very cheap and affordable, and yet the optometrist's shop was really very small. This negated any chance that the optometrist sold all those glasses himself. The optometrist would have been a millionaire by now had he sold all of those frames. Then she reasoned that, yes, it was a recession and that these frames were the cheapest of all the glasses in the state, and so the multitudes of those wearing these particular glasses all went for the cheapest glasses they could find, and the black frames were the cheapest at every optometrist's office in the state. This sounded reasonable too, but the sheer fact that everyone had various levels of income and would probably have selected more expensive frames as well negated this theory also. Even the movie stars that she watched on late-night television talk shows wore the same glasses. So something didn't connect here except the more narcissistic theory that somehow she caused all of these other people, famous and not famous, to wear the particular glasses that she had chosen. A conspiracy, in other words, at which she became the sole cause of the condition and placed herself at the center of the universe. Once again, such a concept thrilled, amazed, and deeply horrified her. It was as though these black glasses became a portal to another universe, or perhaps a maze that she had to escape. It was forbidden fruit, forbidden knowledge, forbidden territory, and yes, she just had to find the answers. She again visited her usual coffee shop the very next morning. She wore her glasses and felt a little better that the universe had finally paid some attention to her, now that all of the people in Albany followed her lead, and that even the famous movie stars were now giving her the type of respect she deserved. She was now the leader, the trendsetter, the chosen one of an awful truth. When she sat alone at one of the tables to drink her mocha cappuccino, a woman opposite her at the next table scribbled in her notebook. Unsurprisingly, she wore the same glasses. Suddenly they looked at each other, their eyes connected. "Are you following me?" yelled the other woman. "No," she said. "Oh, horseshit," said the other woman. "This is all such horseshit. God, please take me away from all this." In a very subtle way, she now knew what the other woman meant. Everyone was pushed into the same game. They were now puppets to the gods. Thank you.